Hey, welcome back from the break, folks. It's Tom, your host for today's virtual conference. Up next, we're going to be hearing from Mr. Tim Leehealey. He is the co-founder and VP of strategy over at Strike48, one of our gold sponsors for the event. He's going to be talking to us about wanted but not trusted, solving the AI agent dilemma in SecOps. This is big. We've got to get our arms around this kind of stuff and quit scratching our heads wondering what direction we should be taking. So we've got the guy, one of the guys that founded a large company here that does cybersecurity that's going to help us. So please take note, listen. He's got an awesome report that he's going to refer to periodically. You're going to want to grab that. It's at their resource center or the booth back over in the other hall there. Check that out. If I can load it onto this session, I will as well. So check in the bottom left corner. I'm trying to imagine where it's is on the platform, but there should be resources there as well. But if you can't find it there, definitely go check at their resource center. Tim Leehealey, welcome, sir. Please enlighten us on how we can make things better with agentic AI.
Yeah, listen, first of all, it's really nice to be here. Thank you for the warm introduction. I'm excited to talk to you about what we've got. I'm not sure I can enlighten you on how to make it better. My goal would be to have you not make it worse, but but there's just a ton. And I think you hit the nail on the head actually in your intro. If I could sum up everything in this presentation with just one thing, it stops sitting on the sidelines, right? I have had people have incredible success in our platform. I've seen people have incredible success with Claude Code. I've seen them have failures and get to success. The trick is they all dove in. Do you know what I mean? And they ran into the brick wall face first, bloodied, did it again, and eventually you do break through. And the results can be fantastic. We have a customer that had a knock. They had 23 plus people in it, stretched across multiple continents. They were like, come in, agenticize this for us. It used to cost them $843,000 in headcount alone. Now they run it for under $1 a day. But it was a journey, my friend. It was a journey. It wasn't like I came in chest puffed up. I'm a super smart guy. I'm going to solve the problem. You know, 6 weeks into the journey, I was explaining to them why they shouldn't give up, why they shouldn't fire us. Do you know what I mean? And so it was like this, but we made it to the other end. The results have been phenomenal, and I can show you that customer and customer again. Just get started. That's the key. That's like the single most important idea. And anybody who's got a tool worth their salt will give you almost unlimited access to it to play around, because this stuff is powerful. It's one of those things when you get in it, you start using it, you want to use it more. It's just goodness. So don't, try before you buy, but try. Come on, try. So let's get into the presentation. I do think it's eye-opening. It presents a lot of at least the psychological barriers as much as anything that have been sort of slowing adoption of this agentic stuff. I mean, I have yet to run across a customer that thinks what we're doing is a bad idea. It's just the degrees to which they're willing to, maybe next year or, and I do think, I kind of tell people, if you've already implemented, if you're already knee deep in this stuff, good on you. You're a visionary. You're adopting. If you're starting to get in the water now, okay, cool. This is the right time to do it. If in a year from now you're explaining to your CEO after you got popped why you thought it was a good idea to deal with cybersecurity in a manual way, when the entire world your attacking adversary is agentic, you're going to get fired. So it's just unavoidable. But let's get into the survey. I could soapbox it all day. I could chew up my whole sort of 35 minutes here easily, just soapboxing it. So
take us on that journey, Tim. I'm ready for it, man. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So this is why it's just there's no choice. You have to adopt. You have to adopt. Again, how you choose to go on this journey, there are lots of paths to success. I tell people all the time, we are only one of them. There are many different options here, but the threat vector has become AI, right? It's not like it was just 2 years ago when, you know, a vulnerability came out. You could wait a while. You could wait for your feed. You could go through your process, slowly update. Right now, it's like a day and a half between vulnerability discovery and exploitation. I mean, that's agentic speed. That's the world we're in. You cannot respond manually. And I don't ever get anyone pushing back on this at this point. In fact, almost everybody I talk to has a mandate, generally all the way up to the board, to implement agentic. So this is who we surveyed. We surveyed 100 people. We actually have been continuing to survey. So this number has grown quite a lot, but this initial result was 100 cybersecurity leaders, and it resonated. I think everything we've come back with in this survey is going to hit home for at least a large portion of the audience. It really touches on, again, a lot of the stumbling blocks, a lot of what people are thinking about when looking at these technologies. That's funny. I was just clicking my next button over and over and over again. I forgot that I'm in a web environment, not on my home laptop, not on my PowerPoint. But okay, this slide, the gap between belief and readiness. Okay, 84% agree that AI should do L1 work. Some part of L1 work, all L1 work. Honestly, at this point, from a practical standpoint, if you have a solution worth its salt at all, it's L1 plus. I mean, honestly, I challenge all of our customers to get at least halfway into their L2 process, if not replicate the L2 process agentically. But everybody kind of concedes at this point, okay, L1 has to go away. AI's got to do is it a true positive? Is it a false positive? There are too many alerts to do it manually. I mean, I run into customers that say, you know, they're getting 1,000 alerts a day, 10,000 alerts a day. Humans simply can't keep up with that. They try to deal with it with their playbooks and whatever tools they have. Respect, you know, that's what we had available as of a year ago. But at this point, agents just do it better. It's unarguable. But only 20% really are ready to do that or have started doing that. So you have a huge gap here, sort of like, what are the other 62% doing? The difference between the 84 that say this should be done and the 22 actually doing it. And to be clear at this point, I think the remaining 16%, these guys that don't think agents should do L1, they're just being curmudgeons. I think they're just being contrarian for the sake of it, because it's obvious it should happen. So everybody's evaluating, everybody's thinking about it, but not a ton have deployed. And sort of we show you in what phases people are. We're researching and evaluating 46%. Don't have analysis paralysis. I promise you, with so many things, with like learning a sport, learning a skill, learning a new tool, you just can't get good at it unless you're in it. So please don't fall victim to analysis paralysis. Just pick a direction and explore. If it doesn't work, you can go back. You will have learned a ton no matter what. We have 36 have AI in production for one use case at least. 34% running a pilot. Now, I would say, my experience since we took this survey, because a fair amount of time a couple of months have passed, I would say just about more or less everybody I'm running into is either spinning up a pilot or starting a pilot or dabbling. So I do think the trends are already starting to shift in the direction of adoption. But what's holding people up? It's fear. Man, it's fear. We can splice how they answered the questions. We don't trust. Okay, you're going to hear the theme of trust over and over again. We're not convinced the technology is mature enough. That's just trust said a different way, right? You got a lot of people in that group. We don't have the right data infrastructure to support efficient agents. This is just not true. This is a symptom of the tool you're using. If you have a good tool like Strike48, for example, it packages the infrastructure, the connectivity necessary to take advantage of this stuff. Our current tools already handle what we need. I would argue this is ignorance. That is probably true. Listen, for so many companies, cybersecurity is about being prepared, but rarely facing the inevitable attack or the bad result. And if you are in the current situation where over the last year you haven't faced the bad result, it's just a waiting game. Because again, like that first slide showed, the adversaries have become agentic. We can't justify the cost or resources investment to evaluate properly. Again, to my ears, this is ignorance, because in most accounts we implement, with rare exception, it's a cost savings. It's just better, it's faster. So again, people get into it, adopt, but that's what we kind of saw when we surveyed. Trust isn't just one concern. Agents might do something harmful. This is on everybody's mind. And to my 2 cents, my view is this is the #1 argument against the Claude Code homespun solution, where you basically have agents being written by everybody in the org. It's really easy to write agents, but they can in fact do bad things if they don't have proper guardrails, if they don't have proper RBOC, if they don't have proper tooling, all this kind of stuff. And if you're trying to have agents do things they shouldn't do, and we could talk about that ad nauseum, but it's sort of a core part of how we at Strike48 approach it. When we say an agent should do L1, what do we mean by that? Like generally, if you hire an L1, you don't sit them down and say, think deeply about this problem. That's nuts. You have a list, a 10-item checklist, and you're like, Mister, go through this 10 items, every single alert. I want you to do it in this way, in this order. If you now go and try to replace that task with a Claude Code freeform agent, N8N type agent, whatever, pick your favorite agent builder, what you've done is taken a task that you'd spent years boiling down to the most discrete and deterministic steps. And you're placing an agent and you're telling it to think deeply. That's a bad application of an agent. What you really want to do is give the agent the same 10 steps. Those are deterministic. They should be written in playbook form, scripting, whatever. And then maybe somewhere between step 4 and 5, insert the little bit of agentic, the little bit of cognitive that you would want your new employee to deploy. And that's how you get a good result. But if you're just building willy-nilly agents and deploying them, many big companies are doing this. This is a serious fear. The agent could hallucinate and provide wrong answers. Again, same effective fear. Agents doing something wrong. The agent could act on incomplete data. Regulatory or compliance risk. Again, these are just all the trust things that break down. I think all these things should ring true to all of us because they're all valid and they're kind of the dynamic we're all facing in this new agentic world. But honestly, they can be overcome. They are not immovable obstacles. They are cautionary signs, things that have to be thought through, but not blockers. The trust problem is also a data problem. This is an interesting dynamic, and it makes total sense, right? Pre-agents, pre-LLM, we have a ton of companies building tools into the security space, into the IT space, and they're building them deterministically. They're building them with the concept that a user fundamentally is in front of them, and the user carries with him all the advantages and disadvantages of a human. We now move into an agent-based world, and all these vendors that are billion-dollar companies are saying, hey, are our solutions still relevant? Look, I've put an agent in it. Or look, I've wrapped a natural language interface on top of it. It's the wrong approach, because you run up to this data problem. And the data problem is, if you stitch an AI into your SIM, but listen, you were only paying for a subsegment of your data to go into the SIM in the first place because it's so darn expensive, or maybe you stitch one into your observability platform or whatever tools you're using, your compliance tool. You now have an agent equally as constrained as the human that was using it beforehand. And that doesn't make sense. Agents bring strengths that humans don't have, weaknesses too, but strengths. So you really need to rethink your whole data structure, your whole tooling structure, and it's an opportunity, not a blocker. It's an opportunity to look at tool overlap, to simplify your stack, to deploy your humans against things that humans do uniquely well, and automate stuff that they don't do well. All right, so how to start adding agents and building trust. This is kind of how we see it, how we've seen it playing out with our customer base. There is no wrong answer here, guys. Again, if I had to leave you with one idea and one idea only, it's jump in. Everybody will find their own bumpy path. Everybody will find their successes and their failures. But the faster you get in, the more you adopt, the more you're going to find out what works well for you. This is what I was just arguing about the tools. And I do believe this is something people really need to look hard at, right? We don't think it makes sense to rip and replace or to just build agentic layers into every one of your existing tools. We think today is a unique opportunity. It's kind of like, honestly, Y2K and the internet before it, as events that had board level support for a fundamental rethink. And it is just more powerful today than it has ever been in the past. And we're arguing, and what we're positioning, what we're telling people they should do is, instead of, again, knitting just AIs into each one of your existing tool stacks and paying, I don't know, 6 or 7 times for the same basic natural language interface into an old IT stack, use this as an opportunity to elevate. Say, hey, what could I do differently if I had an agentic layer plugged into all of this? Why do these silos even exist in my tech stack? Is there really so much different about that's going on in my SOC and my NOC that I need different tool sets, different people, different departments, maybe the TOC also? What's going on, guys? All of those things are pointing at the same basic log data. We advocate for a more of a security data lake, agentic layer on top type structure. It saves money, it saves costs. But again, however you want to adopt, but use it as an opportunity to rethink the underlying problems, because there's so much here that has never been possible before. And the cost savings are just tremendous if done properly. Where leaders want to start automating in the SOC, obviously we're talking security, L1, L2, man, it's done. There are so many good competitive solutions. You don't have to rip out your SIM. Strike48, we have one, but not advocating for ours or anybody else's. This problem is to a large degree licked. We had a customer, I wrote a LinkedIn for anyone who's following me. You'll sort of understand this. I wrote a LinkedIn about a customer that had automated L1 and most of L2 for 64% of all their alerts. And I published it. And actually he saw it because he's following me. And he called me up really pissed. He's like, "No, your stats all wrong. We're up to 97%. So this problem is very tackleable. Threat hunting and historical data analysis agents do very well. And again, in a much more cost-effective way, you can keep your historical data in a security data lake, an S3 structure, whatever. We have options. There are lots of competitive options on the market. Lower that overall cost and use agents to do long-running investigations. They do it really well. Playbook and response execution, honestly, in our experience, very much attached to this. I would say you can get a double bang for your buck if you really go through and you're agenticizing your alert triage and investigation. Response and playbook execution is a natural outspinning of that. Investigation, root cause analysis, again, these are just cutting the same problem different way. I would say all of these can get absorbed into the same basic 2 to 3 agent plus workflow structure. In terms of the playbook that we find successful, and I started out sort of talking about our agentic knock experience, the journey versus the immediate destination. Don't buy anybody selling you plug and play silver bullets. It doesn't exist. Even the knowledge sets, even the table sets in your environment are going to be different than the table sets and the knowledge sets in somebody else's environment. And nuance makes all the difference here. So we sort of start with this, again, 5-step playbook. We ask customers to identify a use case. It can be L1, L2, that's easy, right? But generally they have flavors. Maybe phishing is the issue they're most aggressively trying to tackle. Maybe they have a problem in their NOC. There are a broad base of issues that you may want to start with, but keep it small and keep it deterministic, because if you can get a small use case, it keeps the testing simple. It keeps the implementation simple. Ultimately, we're trying to earn trust. Remember, the big issue here is trust. And you earn trust incrementally. Nobody in cybersecurity is just going to give it to you. They're always going to say, yeah, but I'm worried. Yeah, but. So you kind of fall back on, okay, Mr. Yeah, but. I do have it working in this one example. I do have this historical data. It is saving us money. It is saving us time. It's better. They're like, oh, okay, well, all right, but I'm still worried. Okay, Mr. Yeah, but now let's tackle a second easy problem, and so on and so forth. And you really build up, and pretty soon, Mr. Yeah, but is your biggest advocate claiming why he had the idea to do it in the first place. So start with an easy task. Test agents with humans fully in the loop. You don't want to make any mistakes. Measure agent accuracy against judgment. You have them running side by side. Who is doing better? When the agents do better, great. When the humans do better, add to the knowledge sets, iterate on the agents, supports it as the agent starts doing better and better. And let me tell you the real life experience we had in this knock. They had 23 people. We agenticized it. We ran it alongside for about a month. It looked good. They went ahead and moved people out of the knock. And then it blew up. There were edge cases that hadn't been anticipated they were infrequent. And there was just this uproar of this doesn't work and blah, blah, blah. And then we had a period of maybe sort of 2 to 3 months when we slowly eased back in, fixed those edge cases, slowly won back the trust. And since February, it's been running seamlessly. So that, I think, is the best playbook for implementing this stuff. But again, whatever works in your org. I have made this point a million times already just in this presentation. But do it now, guys. You're never going to find a moment when from the board on down, everybody supports the idea of anything. I mean, listen, we're all security practitioners. roll the clock back 3 years. What are we talking about? We're talking about UEBA and the potential of UEBA. I'm in the SIM space natively, or at least I was. So we're talking about UEBA. We're all hot and bothered about how exciting it is, but it's a story we're pushing uphill. No board member, no chairman of any board sat down at the meeting with their CIO and said, I want to hear about what this org is doing on the UEBA front. Never happened. But in terms of agenticizing, in terms of adopting AI technology, that is happening at every single board meeting. And those CEOs are winning or losing points based on the degree to which they can show their success on that metric. And it's about faster, it's about cheaper, it's about being thought leadership. So we have a window, we have a collective group, have a window that we have never had before. And who knows how long it will last. My fear actually is, to be honest, it will continue to last indefinitely. But if you haven't adopted as of a certain point, you'll just look like somebody who's not forward-leaning enough. So I do feel like we have not only a window, but a mandate. So this is kind of how we at Strike48 view it, how kind of we recommend an architecture. We have, as we've said, sort of an overlay agentic architecture that sits on the IT, on top of IT in general. Our primary use case, our day in, day out, is security. It's the SIM. It's alert triage. It's vulnerability assessment, that kind of stuff. But it's a rethinking here, guys. It's not, hey, we're just agenticizing old platforms. It's, what can we do from a security perspective if we plug in across IT? What if we're not making the choice about which data to store and which data to not store and what to forward into the SIM and what to forward into observability? What if we're connecting to all those platforms as key repositories that feed a single agentic solution? That gives us a much broader view of the threat landscape and actually just a more seamless IT in general. It's about building agents that have full visibility. Again, maybe it's not your cup of tea. Maybe it is. We have found a lot of success with our customer base, but you know, again, just one approach here. Okay, first of all, for those of you that noticed, my background just changed. I had an internet problem, but these are the three key areas that we feel like the application is relevant to. Blue teaming, bread and butter in security. You're talking about agentic SOC here. You're talking about agentic SIM. You're talking about active defense. But you know what's really, really powerful about the technology at this point? Listen, our threat vector is agentic, but we also have the ability to be our threat vector. What do I mean by that? At least in the Strike48 platform, I think we'll see this in competitive platforms coming out more and more, we have the ability to fully integrate red team. So you can constantly be attacking yourself. You can be testing your blue team rules. You can be testing, you get a new log, you create some new alerts. Are those good alerts? Red team them, run a red teaming, run a low and slow on an ongoing basis. It's a really powerful pairing. And then ultimately, we really try over time to push people to AI orchestration. This is the idea of utilizing AI across the IT stack, simplifying your tool sets, removing redundancies. I mean, just look at how every vendor defines their space. You've got a sort of a Venn diagram. This is company A, this is company B. There's so much overlap in terms of the IT stack. And AI orchestration allows you to really reduce the over-tooling that people have at this point. So listen, hope you've enjoyed the presentation. You can go ahead, if you have any questions, lob them into the QA area. There's just, honestly, again, just hop in. It's just simple. It doesn't need to be complex. Just hop in, hit us up at Strike48. Hit me at Tim Leehealey at LinkedIn.com. Or just find another tool, but get in here, guys, because the fact is the world has changed, and it's only going to get more and more. And the power in terms of cost savings and just in terms of efficiency of these technologies at this point is beyond belief. So I'll end it there. Thanks for the time. Hopefully get the opportunity to speak to you guys in the future. But it's fantastic to have the chance to take you through the deck.
Good stuff, Tim. Honestly, I dug it. And I'm right there with you. I mean, but I use AI stuff all the time myself, so I'm kind of biased by it. And because I was looking at your pie chart and the other graph, and a lot of those, it just sounds like it's just fear. Like it's fear of it's stuff you don't know or you don't really fully understand. And that's just my 2 cents. But I feel like a lot of those are it's just fear, and you need to kind of just get over that. Hence, you're saying just jump in, which I'm right there with you, because that's kind of how I learned how to swim. My dad was a Marine, and he was like, he wasn't going to be like, you're going to swim school. No, he just threw me in the pool. And eventually I figured out how to swim. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. Thanks for the tough love. But it worked, right, for me. But my question is, if people do jump in, is there like what's the easy button here, right? Is there like one group where like I can create an agent within maybe that part of the business to show that proof that it's not going to go crazy and pull some Skynet stuff on us? I mean, what do you think?
So first of all, there are tons of easy buttons. We sort of talk about L1s in the security space, alert triage, good or bad. It's an ideal use case because it is so defined. But really what I point people is what you're looking at is a 90% deterministic process. And you have those all over your IT stack. You could stay focused on security. Maybe you've got the budget there. Maybe you've got a forward-leaning group. Go after L1. But maybe you don't. Maybe you want to look at those same those same kind of 90% deterministic tasks in your NOC, in your TOC, in your DevOps org. You can hook these things in really broadly across IT and take advantage of them. So don't feel pigeonholed by any one use case. Look for the low-hanging fruit, the easy, repetitive places where a little bit of cognition makes all the difference. That's the easy win. And it works over and over and over again.
I want to stay on this slide for a second, just so you guys can grab that report. There's some good information in there you're going to want to take a look at, especially if you are getting pushback from the powers that be. Maybe you can find some nuggets in there that'll help you kind of get some traction moving forward. Give me a final thought, Tim. We're going to wrap people up and get them out to another session. If nothing else, what should people do? You said jump in, but you can't use that one again. Give me something.
I mean, listen, here's what I'd say. It works. Stop doubting. It works. It works. There are lots of platforms out there that works. Strike48 for sure works. We have referenceable customers in Fortune 100. We just signed a Fortune 100, picking out a competitor. It works. Stop. Putting your toe in the water. Get in.
Stop him-hawing around. That's what I like to say.
That's the better expression. Thank you.
There you go. Reach out to Tim and the crew over at Strike48. They've got a resource center at the event here today. Go over there. If you haven't grabbed that report, go over to their booth, check stuff out. Make some new friends over there. If nothing else, you can find out some more information. That's what I'm saying. So kick the tires, jump in the pool if you want, but go check out Strike48. That's my hard pressure sale for the day. Everybody, great to meet you, Tim. Have a great rest of the event, everybody. We've got a break coming up and then more sessions on the way. So we're not done yet. So keep going, keep fighting the good fight out there, and we'll see everybody at the next round of sessions.
Thanks a lot.